and welcome to another enlightening episode of your favorite family law talk show, the Late Night Intercourse. Of course, your host is Choma Onyenucheya Uko, also known as the Zest Family Lawyer. So, as having published already, tonight we will be discussing some of the common mistakes people make during a divorce. Of course, I know this is not a pleasant topic in the sense that we don't like to talk about divorce. We don't like to talk about the likelihood of a marriage going sour. But reality is that every day a marriage is threatened, a marriage breaks, a marriage fails. Every day that happens. And because of this reality, just as we plan, to protect ourselves, just as we plan to ensure that our marriages work, it is also wisdom to plan in the event of life happening. So tonight, we're going to look at some of those common financial mistakes that people make during a divorce. Some of those financial errors that we should avoid in the eventuality of a divorce. But of course, this is not to say that divorce should happen, and it's not also to say that where the marriage is threatened, that the marriage cannot be salvaged, that the marriage cannot be saved by other means. But we're saying, where despite best efforts, things break down irretrievably, what are those mistakes to avoid? Those mistakes that commonly happen, which we should guard against. So, and tonight, we'll be taking a few of them. It is not an exhaustive list. And if we have need to continue in subsequent episodes, of course, you can bet that I will always be glad to do that. So the first I would like to talk about is having unrealistic expectations, having ignorant expectations. What do I mean by that? When people plan for a divorce, or when people are faced with a situation of divorce, sometimes people do not plan properly. They do not have realistic expectations. They do not plan from a place of information. They just assume things and they set out believing that their assumptions will lead them through. That's not quite the case. And what are some of those unrealistic expectations that you may find? In some cases, you may see one party believing that because the other party offended them or committed what they perceive to be an offense, then that party will automatically be punished by some financial penalties from the court. Some of those are not realistic. Some of those are ignorant. You may find someone believing or thinking that the mere fact that, he or she has brought a petition and made certain prayers, certain requests from the court, that suffices, that naturally those things will be granted. And oftentimes, those prayers, those requests that are made from the court are not sufficiently backed up with evidence that will support the granting of same. So, if you have been living a certain lifestyle and you don't even show to the court that your spouse, who you are divorcing, has the means to sustain that standard of living, how do you expect the court to award costs? Award maintenance orders that will reflect what you expect? You need to back your prayers up with evidence that will allow the court, enable the court to grant those prayers. You want the man to pay 1 million naira per month. You are not showing the court that he earns well enough to be able to do that. You want the woman to bear the cost of school fees for the children. You are not showing the court that this woman has the capacity to bear that cost. If you are unable to back up your expectations with evidence that will convince the court and enable the court to grant you the orders they seek, those expectations will be unrealistic, those expectations will be ignorant. And then you find that some people just believe that from the day you go to court, in a matter of weeks or short months, divorce is pronounced. I'm sorry to break your heart. The truth is, the pace of justice in Nigeria, the pace of judicial proceedings in Nigeria is not quite as speedy as we would have wanted it to be, or as many of us would want it to be. And of course, there are many reasons why that is, most of which is not the fault of our judiciary. But bearing that in mind, a better thing will be for one to have a realistic expectation of how long that may take, the process may take, and then make plans that will help them go through that period with as little challenge as is possible. So where there is need for one to begin to, live in another property, maybe pay rent elsewhere, maybe due to a separation pending the dissolution, is there adequate plans for that to happen? Yes, your lawyer may be able to make an application to court and obtain certain relief or reprieve for you in the interim, but that is not guaranteed. Sometimes the court may refuse it. So what plans does the person have in place to be able to sustain him or herself within the period of seeking divorce ahead of getting into the venture? So it is important, like the Bible advised for those of us who are Christians, that before you set out building a house, that you imagine the cost of doing that project. So in the same manner, before setting out for a divorce, have a realistic assessment of the possible cost and implications of the process, so that you don't shoot yourself in the foot when you set out, or get disappointed because your expectations were unrealistic or ignorant. The second thing I'd like to talk about is what I call racking up costs. Piling up the cost implications of the process. And these cost implications are mostly financial, but there are also other cost implications. Just as I had mentioned the possibility of getting an accommodation because of a separation and a few other things that may happen, you find that during a divorce proceeding, some people are blinded by anger and bitterness, by their pains and their disappointments, that they are unwilling to be as amicable as possible in going through that process. I do not believe that a divorce should translate automatically to animosity. I don't think so. I don't think it is good for the health of the parties. I don't think it is good for our society. And where there are children involved, I don't think it is good for those children. So one of the ways to ensure that one takes some prudent or wise financial steps during a divorce proceeding will be to make the process as amicable as possible, as less acrimonious as possible. What are some of the ways? Even being able to reach some settlement amongst yourselves, amongst the parties, helps to reduce the period of litigation, because the longer you are unable to resolve some of those things that you could easily resolve amongst yourselves, the longer time you spend in court. And the longer time you spend in court, it costs you man hours, time away from your work, be it in the office or your place of business or wherever else, time away from other things that will benefit you, your cost of transport to and fro the court, possible additional cost to the retainment of your lawyer, because sometimes lawyers also charge what we call appearance fees and incidental costs like that. So, but if you are able to have the process a little bit amicable, less contentious or less acrimonious, dispense with the bitterness. If you're able to negotiate certain things and decide between yourselves that, okay, A will keep the children, or A and B will keep the children at such intervals as this and that, or that you keep the home while I keep the other landed property, or you keep car A while I keep car B. Things like that can be settled. Since a divorce is a quarrel, is a contest between two people, not a pleasant one, no matter how amicable as it may be, that they need to outsmart the other party. And in trying to outsmart the other party, you will see things like, hiding their assets, concealing things. They don't want the other party to know that they have one undeveloped property somewhere, undeveloped land somewhere. They don't want him or her to know that they earn one additional stream of income from one business or one investment. Just those things that bring income. They don't want the other party to know. They hide those things, they conceal those things. And the painful part is that you find that two people have lived together maybe for a number of years, for some time before the divorce, and then you're shocked to discover that they're not even aware of what the other party has. Even where they know that the other party has a business, they don't know the full nature of the business. They don't know the location of the business. They don't know the likely income of the business. They don't even know the account information of their partners. And then these partners will sometimes then want to conceal those things because they believe that if they make those information available, it will equip the other person to make higher demands. And of course, nobody ever really wants to part with more if they can manage with less. You know what I mean? So, but the truth is, when you conceal information from the court, when you lie about any situation before the court, you are actually, committing contempt. It's a contemptuous activity. It's a contentious action. It means that you have lied, and if you lie, it is an offense. You can be cited for perjury. You can be prosecuted for lying. So it can expose you to criminal liability when you conceal assets. So the better thing to do will be disclose the assets as much as you know and as is possible, but have your lawyer make a case for protecting those assets in your favor and conceding only what is necessary to be considered. But to conceal assets, no. You may be exposing yourself to criminal liability, to contempt of the court. So it is a financial mistake to conceal or to hide assets during a divorce. The other thing will be, one of the things I see many couples do when going through a divorce where children are involved. There is usually that contest as to who gains the love, the understanding, the affection of the children. And because they are competing to do that, most times they overindulge children during a divorce. And they forget that each of those indulgences has financial implications. You'll find them trying to give the children, lovely gifts, expensive gifts, even the kind of gifts they didn't used to give the children before then. You see them trying to indulge the children in, vacations, outdoor visitations, things that will just make the children happy, things that will make the children warm up more to them than their partner, not factoring in the costs, the financial costs of those indulgences. And I think that's almost like cutting your noses to spite your faces, because at the end of the day, when the divorce is done and you take stock, are you able to sustain some of those indulgences? Are some of those indulgences even in the best interest of your children, developmental wise? Are you making the best of them? Are you giving them the right kind of training that will help them also stand on their own 2 feet tomorrow? Do you need to do that just because you want to gain an advantage over, your estranged spouse? I don't think some of those indulgences is necessary. What children don't understand today, they definitely will understand tomorrow. And our prayers is that God keeps our children and they grow, whether divorced or not. So when those children grow up, if there is anything they did not understand, so long as you have done right by them, so long as you have given them the right care, the right nurture, the right upkeep, they will make sense of it tomorrow. Trying to buy them over today will only last, it's a fickle thing. It will just last for the moment. And when they are grown enough to make informed decisions, they will be able to correctly interpret your actions and they will judge you as fairly as is possible. So I don't think it is smart for spouses who are going through a divorce to compound their problems by incurring avoidable financial costs, indulging their children excessively. So that's another mistake that should be avoided. The other thing will be leaving your agreements bare. Leaving those agreements without teeth, without any power. Leaving agreements without an authority, making them unenforceable. Like I had hinted earlier, one of the things our courts respect and actually encourage is for parties to attempt settlement between themselves. Settlement does not necessarily mean that they are able to resolve their disputes and say they are no longer proceeding with a divorce. Where those differences are irreconcilable and they are unable to reconcile and, return home together as a couple, and they are bent on proceeding with a divorce, the court encourages them to attempt settlement between themselves to the extent of reaching agreements on certain subjects. Some of those subjects, like I had also hinted earlier, include agreements on who keeps the children, or where the children will be per time, or who enjoys access and under what conditions. Those are some of the things that can be settled between parties. The other thing is property. They can settle issues on property. They can decide who keeps the matrimonial home and who keeps anything else. They can decide who pays for what maintenance and whatever else. Those things can be decided on between the parties. Now, when parties reach these agreements, it is financial ignorance. In fact, it is almost foolhardy, if you permit me to use that word, for them to just agree and believe that it is a gentlemanly agreement. No, it never ends so well. It means that that agreement is bare and does not have any judicial backing. That agreement may be unenforceable. If one party fails to honor their obligations under that agreement, how will it be enforced? So the better thing will be, when any such agreement has been reached, of course that agreement should be filed before the court as terms of settlement between parties, and the court will adopt it in its judgment as a consent judgment. So the court will now back it up with orders. It will become an order of court, which then means that it can be enforced by the courts. The other thing will then be choosing a wrong lawyer. I think this is, commonsensical. Without my mentioning it, I'm sure we all know that that will be dangerous. Just as you have, specializations amongst other professionals, you also have that amongst lawyers. And just as you have those who are seasoned on something, you also have other people who are seasoned in another niche. And then again, there are people who, regardless their areas of specialization, are just maybe reckless and not quite as attentive. Whatever it is, I think it's important that you carefully select the lawyer who will represent you in the event of a divorce. And I don't think that it's smart, as some people always imagine, that the more aggressive a lawyer is, the more successful he or she is likely to be in the courtroom. I don't think so. Sometimes those aggression helps to deepen the animosity between parties and also elongate the process. That is unnecessary. That is, disadvantageous. The better thing will be to engage a lawyer who has the rationality to help you professionally go through the process and get to the best possible results in the circumstances. And then the final point I would like for us to take note of and avoid at all costs is ignoring professional advice. So it's not enough to get the best lawyer. It will be futile. It will be pointless if after getting a sound lawyer, if after taking note of all of the things I have said, at the end of the day, you do not heed the advice that is given to you by the lawyer. A lot of people are guilty. They allow emotions to drive them. And some of them will even take actions without first sounding out their lawyer. And after they have taken those actions, when they now report to their lawyer is foisted with bad situations that he or she has to now grapple with. That is avoidable if you consult the right lawyer and heed every advice from your lawyer. That way, you are able to avoid these common mistakes, and a process that is ordinarily not pleasant can be gone through with as less damage as is possible and as successfully as is possible in the circumstance. So that will be it for common mistakes financial mistakes people make during a divorce. And as is usual, you know that in every episode of the Late Night Intercourse, I don't just go teaching, I don't just go enlightening you. It is an intercourse, which means that when I talk to you, I like to also hear from you. Of course, you can drop your questions or your comments in the comment section, and you can also send me a WhatsApp message on our number 09080000633. I'm sure the number will be scrolling somewhere on your screen. And then if you'd rather send us an email, you can also do that at latenightintercourse@gmail.com. And for those who prefer to send me a message inbox, maybe on Facebook, on any of the other platforms where we are, just feel free to. So I'll be checking now to see if I have any questions or if I have any comments, so that I go just right ahead and take them before I ask you my question, which enables you win a prize if you answer correctly, and of course fastest fingers. So yeah, Daniel says keep up the good work. Amara, my sister, how are you, Jerry? Amara says I am right. I don't know which of the points she says I am right about. Thank you very much, Amara. Let's check who is watching us on YouTube or any other of our platforms. Let's check and see. Let's check and see if we have any questions or comments. Let's check and see. Okay. I see. Oh, Leo says he's following from Enugu. The studio is sharp. Meanwhile, I look great. Oh, thank you for the compliment, Leo. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And then he has a question. He says if he wants to engage a lawyer, should he ask him the area of his specialization? How does he get the right lawyer, please? Yes, you may ask your lawyer that. And beyond just asking your lawyer that, you may also, research that lawyer. Check out the lawyer. A lawyer would usually leave his or her footprint somewhere. If they have social media handles, what does it tell you? If they have a website, go through it. You'll find many of them, specify their areas of specialties. And then, of course, there are multi-specialized specialization firms where they have many lawyers who are best at different things. That is also a possibility. So it means that if you go to consult a lawyer, you need to find out what it is they are best, seized at, and whether what your interest is one of those. And where it isn't, most lawyers are professional. They are usually willing and able to refer you to the right person. Yes, most lawyers are quite noble. Yeah, Ajiri says, so true. They never heed to the lawyer's advice. Oh, hi Ajiri, how are you, dearie? Yes, Ajiri is my colleague. She's a lawyer, and I'm sure she has had frustrations in that regard. Most lawyers have. I have too. I've had clients who will not take advice, who will tell you, but yes, I remembered you said that, but he did this, or but she did that, or but you don't know what happened that day. In fact, I had already done it before. Whatever your excuses are, not taking your lawyer's advice may actually be you shooting yourself in the foot. And okay, Leo acknowledges my answer and says he gets it now that he understands. And he says, thank you. You're welcome, Leo. Thank you, my brother Omande, for joining us. He says, nice one. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. And he says, this intercourse is enlightening. Oh, yes. At every episode of the Late Night Intercourse, we bring you enlightening intercourse on family law subjects. And of course, tonight, what we've been discussing are common mistakes, common financial mistakes people make during a divorce. And I hope that having listened, having participated tonight, you will be able to advise those around you to avoid those mistakes in the event, and hopefully in the unlikely event that a divorce happens. So I haven't seen any other question. Oh, Ajiri, yeah, thank you. She says it's quite annoying. I understand. Well, I hope they know better today. I hope they learn from this, because sometimes not heeding their lawyer's advice may, force them with a situation that is avoidable but maybe irredeemable. Yes, that may be redeemable. I hope they have learned from this. I'm checking to see the other platforms if I'm missing any. I don't want to miss any question. I don't want to miss any comments that I need to acknowledge. And as you all know, we stream live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. That's X. Yes, we stream live on those three platforms. And as we progress, we are hoping to also include other platforms on our streaming channels. And thank you so much for joining us on any of these three platforms. It's always a pleasure. It's always an excitement to have you, because I believe that when we learn, when we're informed, we make better decisions. And when we make better decisions, our society is the overall winner for it. So yes. Yes, I'm checking to see if there's any other question or comment that I haven't taken. I'm checking to see. Okay, I can't find any other question. I can't find any other comment that I need to acknowledge or respond to. So I guess this will be the time to just take the question for tonight. And the question will be, in your own words. I said in your own words. I don't want you quoting anything I've said verbatim. No, I don't want that. I don't want you copying the things I have already given you. In your own language, in your own, I don't mean your language as per your dialect, but in your own words, in your own expression, but typing in English. Tell me what you understand. Just 3 things that you understand as mistakes, financial mistakes that should be avoided. Tell me 3 things. Don't use my exact words. The reason I want to read it in your own words is I want to assess the extent to which you understand me. I want to be sure that you truly understood what I've said tonight. So give it to me in your own words. What are 3 things that people should avoid that have negative financial implications during a divorce? Tell me 3 things. Tell me 3 things. 3 things. And I've observed that most of my winners for the prizes are usually men. And I'm wondering, are the women not participating? What's the problem? Do women not find the talk show enlightening enough? Do they not find it beneficial? If you do, why do you not participate in answering the questions? Most of the winners I have are men. And most of the repeat winners, if not all the repeat winners, are men. Come on, let's not allow them take this all the time, okay? So I'll be happy to have a woman win tonight. I'm checking to see. Oh, Nele says she's joining us from Abuja and that I look good. Oh, thank you. That's the second compliment I'm getting on my looks tonight. Thank you very much. You're just making a girl blush. Okay. Oman Dave, my brother Man Dave says divorce is rampant these days, especially with the Gen Z. With this platform, it will help to guide, sensitize, and possibly reduce divorce. Bravo. Oh, thank you. Of course, yes, I believe in the family structure. The family is good for the society. And as much as is possible, every marriage should work as much as is possible. Except where it becomes a threat to a person's life, or where the person finds the situation of that marriage toxic and not good for their well-being. Otherwise, it is good for us as a society that marriages work. But of course, the marriages should work as much as the people within the marriage also thrive. So anything we can do to help you, support you through your marriage, absolutely, because it's the better for all of us. But if push comes to shove, we want to be sure that you also take the right decisions and do the right things for yourself and for everyone involved as much as is possible. So, have I gotten a response? Vibes Plus says, great job. Thank you so much, Vibes Plus. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. I'm looking to find responses to my question so that we have winners for tonight's episode. And like I said, I'll be excited to have women who also will win the prizes. I am looking forward to having a woman I haven't seen an answer. I'll repeat my question in the event you didn't hear. My question was, in your own words, what are 3 things from what I've taught you tonight that should be avoided that has negative financial implications for someone during a divorce? So, and I'm looking for your answers so that we would congratulate our winners for tonight. I can't find. If in another minute I don't get a response, that means that we'll save the prizes for tonight and defer that to another episode. On Twitter, Culinary Gangster says, truly enlightening. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. In a minute, if I don't get a winner, we'll call it a wrap and we'll start again next episode. Oh, my sister, Cheerful, don't worry. Ogechi, thank you so much. She says keep up the good work. Thank you, Oge. Thank you, I appreciate. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. All right. So we didn't get a winner for tonight. I haven't seen any winning response. I've checked on our YouTube platforms, on Twitter, on Facebook, and I've even checked on WhatsApp. All the comments I've seen, none is a response to my question, and none is okay. I get a hint from my technical support that somebody has just sent in a response. Let me check and see if I'll find it. Whoa. And which platform now is that? Oh, okay. Leo has posted on... Okay, he posted on Facebook, but I'm seeing it on YouTube. He says, people having what he calls ignorant expectations, thinking that the court can cite them just for any reason. Unrealistic expectations, okay? Then he says, not taking full cost before going... He didn't write all of it. So this is just 1.5 reason, if you ask me. I can't see the continuation. And then Ajiri says hiding assets. Ajiri gave me only 1, and I want you to give me 3. I want you to give me 3. I can't find any other response that's... Okay, Ajiri says spending excessively on the child or children in the bid to gain their favor. She has given 2, but it's best you write 3 of them in one message. Your smart is giving me 2. He's insisting it's 3. He gave me 2. Okay, people. We didn't get a star prize winner tonight. But because Ajiri and Leo attempted to give us answers, both of them have won for themselves consolation prizes. That's the best I can do. And that's where we call it a wrap tonight. Thank you so much for joining me in this intercourse. It's always a pleasure enjoying your company on your enlightening family law talk show, Late Night Intercourse with Chioma. And as always, it is yours truly, Chioma Onyenucheya Uko, the Zest family lawyer, saying thank you and do enjoy a pleasant night rest. Bye-bye.